Now, today is African Traditional Medicine Day. The World Health Organization estimates that around 80% of Africans rely heavily on traditional remedies for their basic health needs. It has called on governments, research institutes, practitioners and the private sector to strengthen collaboration around traditional medicine research and production. So are traditional remedies being given the status they deserve? To discuss, we're joined by Dr. Zulumathabo Zulu, who's a research scientist and director at the Madisebo University Research Institute. Doctor, thank you for being with us. So natural remedies have a long history in China, in India, in Africa. Tell us about Africa's rich heritage.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, Africa has a very rich heritage. In fact, Africa natural medicine would be the oldest on the planet, according to a lot of scientists and researchers. And one of the evidence of that is, for example, the oldest medical manuscript is from the African continent. There's a manuscript called Ebers Papyrus, which is currently kept in Germany in the University of Leipzig, which is more than 3,000 years.
Wow!
And that particular manuscript shows, a number of medicine plants for a number of ailments, and it also shows the taxonomy of these medicine plants. In fact, one of my scholarly papers is called African Drum Telegraphy and Indigenous Innovation. In that particular article, I trace the African origin of taxonomy, that the first case of taxonomy appears in that particular medical manuscript. Yes, so it is a very rich heritage in terms of how long it has been, but it is also a very biodiverse continent in terms of the medicine plants. It is estimated that more than 10% of world's medicine plants are located right here in Southern Africa. So,
Sure.
So we have a very rich heritage in that sense.
Yeah.
So we are very excited to celebrate the African Traditional Medicine Day as, advanced by World Health Organization.
Okay, so lots to celebrate today, but African herbs and plants are not always taken seriously by big pharma, for example, or by governments, although many of our mainstream remedies rely on them. Some say with the right partnerships and investments, traditional medicines can find a global market, and of course that would be a boom, certainly for many nations in Africa. But how will that happen? Who can make it happen?
Well, you see, that is the greatest challenge. You made remarks earlier on to say that countries like China, India, and many other Asian countries, Japan, they're very advanced in terms of indigenous medicine. I mean, for example, in China, when you go to a hospital, they will tell you that you can turn to the left, you go to, you go to one type of maybe, let's say, Western medicine, and the other side is indigenous medicine. So they have integrated indigenous medicine in those countries. I spent most of my life in Canada. So when I arrived in Canada around 1989, Chinese indigenous medicine was not recognized. But in about 10 years, it became recognized to an extent that it became part of the official healthcare system. Now, in the land of Azania, South Africa, the ANC issued what is known as the South African Healthcare Plan, and that was in 1994. Today is about, 27 years, and no progress has been made. No progress has been made. If the country had effected that healthcare plan, that the indigenous medicine must be institutionalized, we would be very far by now. We would be having hospitals that cater to the indigenous medicine. And so, answering your question, our best bet was that, an African government is going to make that possible, but that didn't happen. And so now we are in a situation where, which is very nice, World Health Organization is, started about, I think it was 10 years ago, 2000, when they declared August 31st as a traditional medicine day. Yeah. But we must not forget that it is also the World Health Organization that rejected and opposed the Madagascar, anti-COVID medicine that was created based on African medicine plants. So there is that resistance, and unfortunately, the South African government is part of that resistance.
Yeah.
You know, they just pay a lip service in terms of wanting to promote it. But going forward, I think what should happen.
Can I stop you there, Doctor? Because apparently in Madagascar, this herbal remedy is in phase 3 trials. So,
yes.
so there are the trials taking place. I mean, is that an obstacle that it has to be certified by these governmental regulation bodies, or is that a good thing that it's now been pushed through and it is going through advanced trial?
Well, the government of Madagascar certified. They have a scientific laboratory. They tested and did their own trials. But the World Health Organization did not accept the trials, the scientific trials that were done by the government of Madagascar. So these trials you are talking about are the ones that, World Health Organization seeks those particular trials. So that's why I was making a point that the World Health Organization is not really fully committed. Of course, right now they accept the fact that indigenous medicine should be promoted, even in terms of COVID therapeutics. But they are doing that with conditions. For example, if they are talking about the scientific method according to the standard, and when they say scientific method, it's a euphemism for Eurocentric healing modalities, you see. And maybe if I can help your viewers will appreciate this. You know, there is a difference between Western medicine and African medicine. Western medicine is based on what we call isolate medicine, meaning that they isolate when there is a plant that cures disease. What they will do, they will isolate a particular active ingredient in the lab, and then they go to patent that so that they can make more money about it, and they collect royalties and stuff like that. And then as a result of that modality, there are side effects, contraindications associated with medicine, with Western medicine is unavoidable. That's why it's called allopathic medicine, because it has these side effects. Now, the African medicine is holistic. So it means that when there is a plant that cures a particular disease, they use all the ingredients together because they believe that all the active components of the plant, they have to be in a synergistic resonance in order to heal disease. You see, that's a paradigm.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying. It's harder to test and isolate these ingredients in clinical trials. Doctor, this is fascinating, and I hope that we can chat again, but time is against us tonight. Thank you very much for that explanation. Dr. Zulumathabo Zulu, Research Scientist and Director at Madisebo University Research Institute.